Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Rested and relaxed and ready for another week.
Rested and relaxed?
Oh, yeah. I did nothing this weekend. Okay, that's not true.
I was going to say, I don't know how you can be rested and relaxed and I'm not.
Now we had a busy weekend, but that's good. That's how I like it. Coming up later in the program today, going to be talking with Leroy Flemming. He's got the website SoulSplitting.biz. He's got a book that he's put together. And it's actually a pretty interesting concept. I think there's like a series of books. He and I will be chatting later in the program. Hey, do you ever have it where like you're on the computer and your eyes hurt from being on there too long?
Yes.
Do you ever wonder why that is?
Well, I'm assuming it's because you're straining your eyes looking at a screen.
It says your eyes work harder when viewing objects up close, particularly on a computer monitor or a screen of some sort. And it is the proximity of the VDT screen to the eyes that causes eye strain, not radiation emitted from the screen like some people say. That's not true. According to the American Academy of Ophthalmology, using a computer or video display terminal will not harm your eyes. You get your eyes start to hurt because you're straining them because you have it so close. That's what's going on. Then you get to have some spectacles on your face like me, and you need readers. So welcome to being an old person. Coming up, we've got some special things happening. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Monday, April the 18th. It is Adult Autism Day, Boston Marathon Day, National Columnists Day, National Golf Day. There's one your dad would celebrate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a golfer. I wish I could be. I'm just
I
no
like
good.
it. I'm just not good at it.
We should practice maybe. National Lineman Appreciation Day, National Stress Awareness Day. I think that's every day for me. Pet Owner Independence Day, and World Amateur Radio Day, which, hey, knuckle bump on that.
There you go.
We're amateurs on the radio. It's our day today. That's not what that means?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought maybe we got to celebrate on that one. I actually have some friends that do what they call ham radios, and I always thought that would be a lot of fun. I've never had the opportunity to do that. So maybe someday I'll get a little ham radio and be a ham on the radio.
I was going to say you're a ham on the radio every day.
I kind of do that every day. Coming up, we've got a Hallmark moment. I'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. This, Heidi, is what I would call a Hallmark moment. When it comes to their birthdays, cousins Ruth Rose and Elizabeth Reynolds can always count on getting a birthday card from each other. In fact, they can count on getting the same birthday card from each other. The cousins, who grew up together in Omaha, have exchanged the exact same greeting card well over 100 times since 1950. You know what this reminds me of? You and your grandmother with that bow.
My grandma with that bow. Mm-hmm.
Where's that bow now?
It was buried with my grandma.
Oh.
I had it when she passed away, so I gave it to her for the last time.
Well, Rose first picked a card for Elizabeth's 37th birthday in 1950. You do the math. Last week, Elizabeth returned it again to Rose for Rose's birthday. The first mailing cost was a nickel. Now there's a bunch of notes and poems and things that get stuffed in with it, so now it's $1.65.
I see.
So $1.65, they must have a lot of stuff they jam in that envelope. Because isn't it like 42 cents to mail something? Or 44? How much is it now?
I have no idea. They all say forever on them. I don't have any. I think that was planned, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize how much you're spending per stamp anymore.
I'd like to get some stamps. That's $8. I have 4 stamps here. Yeah, that's $8. Oh, okay. No, I have no clue how much they are nowadays, but they're forever stamps. Anyway, these guys, they say when they mail this back and forth now, it's $1.65. But it's not just a card. Now it has half a century worth of inflation, of course, but also it has a bunch of notes and poems, and they do little handwritten notes in there. So that's really kind of neat.
That is pretty cool.
And now you did a thing with your grandmother every year at Christmas. How did that get started?
She had gotten roses from somebody, and it had this big, obnoxious bow on the box. And I jokingly said, I wonder who's going to get that on their Christmas present this year. Because we always, every time everybody opened the Christmas presents, Grandma was like, save the bows!
I remember that.
So I said, I wonder who's going to get that. And it was on my Christmas present. So in the following year, I gave it to her, and we went back and forth for probably 15 years with that.
Yeah, that was really neat.
With that bow.
Anyway, this year it's a card going back and forth, just like Heidi and her grandma with the bow. And you know it's true because you heard about it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. It wasn't the beauty of the paintings that caught the eye of custom agents. Their drug-sniffing dog turned his nose up at some art. Federal officials in Arizona say a man was taken into custody at the Customs and Borders Protection Office when they found 90 pounds of marijuana hidden in the frames of 6 large paintings in his vehicle. Officers selected the man's vehicle for a routine inspection, and this was in Douglas, Arizona. Their dog showed an interest in the paintings. Maybe they were dogs playing poker paintings? X-rays revealed the marijuana in the frames. Agency says the paintings were professionally done. The frames were nicely constructed with a special place to hide marijuana. And the man was turned over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So there you go. That's what happens when your brain is on drugs, kids. Don't do that. I always thought it was cool, the dogs playing poker paintings.
I like those paintings.
I always thought those were really cool. We don't have any of those, though.
We do not have
We
any
need
of
to
those.
get some of those.
I don't think we need to get some of those.
Your whole
We
living room.
probably will if we ever have a poker room
Okay,
someday. We could
there
put
you
some
go.
up in there.
That'll work. Coming up, we've got your moment of duh.
John and Heidi.
I thought this would be a really good moment of duh. This is from a friend of mine on Facebook. He was talking about his aunt who works at a library at a school, and she gets to see some bizarre things that happen at this library at this school. And one afternoon, she noticed a young high school student sitting in front of a computer workstation with his arms crossed and just staring at the screen, not looking particularly happy. After about 15 minutes, she noticed that he was still doing that, so she thought, I'm going to go see what's going on. So she walked over and asked him, are you okay? Is everything okay over here? And he said, it's about time. I pressed the F1 button for help 20 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that.
So,
That's funny.
That's not how it works. I think that's really funny. I don't know if that really truly happened to him. He shared it on Facebook and said it was from his aunt. So, you know how these things get started. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Or maybe nobody. Who knows? All I know is I thought that would be a good moment of duh. We have your scoop of the day on the way. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. A pizzeria in Florence, Italy was fined almost $4,000 in U.S. dollars, but it was, their currency, the equivalent of $4,000 U.S. dollars for a hygiene violation when a customer found a human tooth baked into the crust of his pizza.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Ugh. The diner paid the bill but declined an offer of a free dinner and pressed legal charges. The owner's lawyer said the heavy fine was insanity and demanded, and this is what the pizzeria's attorney said, how is the owner of the pizzeria going to force employees to go to the dentist every day or strap a lid over their mouth? So their attorney was saying, it's not their fault that somebody's tooth fell out into the pizza.
Gosh.
Here's the thing. If your tooth falls out, throw that pizza away.
Right.
There
Make
you
a
go.
different pizza.
That's a pretty simple thing.
disgusting.
After a week after Freddie disappeared from his yard in Bozeman, Montana, the dog came home. Jill Slevin says he was covered with ice and bug bites, and she took Freddie to the vet for a checkup. Freddie, they were trying to figure out where in the world has Freddie been. Well, he had talon marks on him. The Pekingese was most likely carried off by an eagle.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's lucky to be alive. The veterinarian remarked that Freddie seemed remarkably chipper for what he'd been through.
Well, he's probably just glad to be home.
Yeah. So
I'm surprised he got away.
I'm on Freddie's team there. Team Freddie.
Holy cow.
Hey, police were called to an accidental shooting in Pennsylvania last week. A 17-year-old shot himself in the leg while, quote, adjusting unquote, the gun he was carrying inside his sweatpants. He was treated for non-life-threatening injury. Shot himself while adjusting his gun.
Yikes.
Not smart. Hey, Ticketmaster announced earlier this week, I think it was actually last week because I got this end of last week, that by the end of this month, they will be selling event tickets through Facebook. So there you go. No longer waste time on
Really?
Ticketmaster. You're already wasting time on Facebook. I just don't know if that was necessary.
Huh.
Starbucks has issued an apology for a message written on a Florida customer's grande white mocha cup. A barista reportedly replaced their name with "Diabetes, here I come," because the guy ordered something with a whole lot of
Wow.
sugar in it, basically. The customer said the joke was really painful to him because he has two sisters who have diabetes.
Wow.
I wonder if they order the same thing that he orders. I have no clue. Oh, no, a type 1 diabetes is what they have. So I think that's the kind you're born with, isn't it? I'm not sure. My dad was diabetic, but his was the kind that he acquired because he did all the wrong stuff.
I have no idea.
And I most likely have it, too. I just haven't been checked. About a year, approximately 9 million trees are cut down to make the raw materials needed for American pulp mills and paper every year. 900 million trees. I thought we were more of a paperless society than we used to be.
Imagine how many used to be cut down.
Well, many factors make a human self-identity. Most Americans agree the primary factor that makes up their identity is family. According to a Barna report, nearly two-thirds of Americans say their family makes up a, quote, a lot of their personal identity. Doesn't say how much, but do you feel like your family, you identify with who you are because of your family?
Absolutely.
Do you think
without a doubt.
I identify with who I am because of my family?
Yes.
All right.
I think everybody does.
Now I know. Hey, you know how people say that the men are always objectifying women? Well, they are, but guess what? Women do it too, maybe even more so than men. A study from Science Daily says from their lips to their nips to their hips to their toes to their tips, a lady will check out a woman as a collection of body parts nearly as much, if not more, than a man. So women are sizing up other women more than men are.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to meet a man at the gym, ladies, here's something that you need to do. Make sure you don't have your headphones on. In a recent study, it says audio player and earbuds, guys assume that a woman listening to tunes is sending a signal she doesn't want to be bothered.
Right.
So if you're saying, hey, I just can't meet a man. I'm going to this gym. I'm surrounded by men. They're always looking my way and smiling. Well, take out your earbuds. All right, time for a strange law. In the state of Kansas, they prohibit shooting rabbits from a motorboat. There you go. That's a strange law. How many rabbits are in your motorboat anyway? I don't know. Anyway, that's a strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We got a special guest joining us today, Leroy Flemming. When his mother passed away 16 years ago, he found the only way he could handle her passing was to put his life back on track by becoming his own therapist. So we're going to talk today about dealing with loss by becoming your own therapist. And we have Leroy on the line right now. Hello, sir. How are you?
How's it going, John? Glad to be with you guys.
Well, we're glad to have you on the program here. And first of all, sorry to hear about you losing your mother 16 years ago. I lost my father back in '95, so I know how that goes. It's not fun, is it?
No, it's not. It's not fun, but what my mom always told me is that it is a part of life, and you just got to learn it.
Definitely. And I like how what you're saying here is you kind of became your own therapist. Tell us about that. How did you decide to do that, and what was the beginning of that whole process?
Well, the last time I saw my mother alive was January 25th, 1999, and on January the 1st, she passed away. So it was very sudden for me, and it was sudden for my family. And the whole process, John, it was just, how do I process the fact that I lost my mom so suddenly? I didn't have anyone to go to or anyone that would kind of assist me with that because my mom was very dear to me. So about 6 months later, I just started writing, and that just began the process of me trying to clean out my inside, so to say.
Again, Leroy, anybody that's gone through loss understands just how difficult that can be. That's no fun at all. But now, how did you decide to kind of visit with yourself about that, talk to yourself about that, write about it, and become your own therapist?
Yeah, the way the process was is I grew up in Phoenix City, Alabama, and that's where my family was, and that's where we laid our mother to rest. But I relocated to Orlando, Florida, so when I got here, I really didn't know anybody, and just trying to deal with that alone was a weight in and of itself. My brothers and sisters, they understood that, so they really gave me space. And in that time, I just realized, well, what can I do to show appreciation for my mom, my family, and to heal myself? And the process began with me just sitting down, and I just started writing. And once I started writing, everything just started to flow from there.
So when you started writing, how did that help you deal with your loss and allow you to help you become your own therapist?
Great question, John. What happened is the very first time I started writing, I wrote something called Here We Go. And once I started that, I began to feel, like all the love that your mother give you, all the things that she taught you, everything that you needed to know, the people that you meet. As I began to write and all this stuff began to just flood out of me uncontrollably, I just kept writing and kept writing. I kept thinking to myself, why am I writing so much? Why am I writing so much? But at the end, which is when I got to volume 5 of Soul-Splitting, when I look back, I began to see that not only was I writing things that I saw in life, I was writing because I was healing myself from the inside. And that's most important for any reader or any listener to know. In order for you to really, grab life by the horns, you got to heal yourself from the inside. So that's what my writings have done for me.
And I think if you talk to any therapist, that if you were sitting with somebody else and talking to them, I think a lot of the time they would say that it's got to be your decision to make these changes. Otherwise, it's not, that talking to them isn't going to fix it. So you have to make the decision. So being, as you put it, your own therapist, that makes a lot of sense to me. I internalize that, and I think that really makes a ton of sense. Yeah,
and that's the thing about people. I can say, we need therapists in the world. We really do, but they always say to you, you got to be able to take an action. So what happened was, since I didn't have that, I realized that I needed to do something to get the toxicity out of me, those negative thoughts or those good thoughts or those contemplative thoughts. So I just started saying to myself, man, if I can do this, then maybe your listeners or the readers, they can do the same thing. Because in my book, I have a blank page where the writer, where the listener or the reader can interact. They can write what their thoughts off, and they can see whether or not that's a journey for them. Because ultimately, you are going to have to solve that yourself.
So now, how would you say that you've grown from your loss and from your writing in ways that maybe you wouldn't have grown if you hadn't, started writing your thoughts down?
Well, my mother always told me, John, I'm pretty sure that it's universal. She said, son, nobody lives forever. And when you're a kid, you don't really think about it. You just think about, this is my mother, this is what I got to do. And I just keep living. Well, when she passed away, when I began to write, I began to see that not only things that she told me when I was younger, but how those things became valid. Once I started putting the pen down and I started writing, then I began to see my mom's face and my sisters and brothers' face and my dreams and my goals. They all started coming back to me. When she passed away, everything inside of me just died, and I paused for a long time. But now since I've been writing and I can see clarity a little better, I know now that she wants me to proceed forward with my dreams. So my thing is her passing and my not being able to deal with it. The writing caused me to deal with it and have me in a position where I can talk to you about it.
Again, visiting right now with Leroy Flemming. He is the author of a 5-book series called Soul-Splitting. And again, kind of talking about when you lose somebody and you're going through this tough time. I see in here you're kind of encouraging people to be creative. And, if you're dealing with a loss, be creative rather than suffering emotionally. And why do you choose that?
Well, I think, John, the way I look at it is when you look out in the world every single day of your life, even right now, man, human beings are somewhere they're creating something. And how do they create it? They create it from their mind. They have the vision, and then what we do is we extract that vision by writing it down or drawing it out, and then we act upon it to make it real. Well, when you're creating something and you're trying to be your own therapist, if you have troubles with anything, I would always say, don't just keep it inside. Write it down on paper. It's just like you're creating the thought and you're making it real. Once you put it on paper, and here's what I encourage people to do. When you write it today, don't go back and read it today. Give it some time. Give it like a month or two. And then go back and look at what you create. And when you go back and look at what you've created, then from there you can say to yourself, man, I feel good that I did that. So maybe that will spur you to be a writer, to be an artist, or to just be anything. But you have to get it out of you in order to make it real.
So do you feel better able to cope today after going through this process?
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you a story. Every year what I used to do is I used to go back to Phoenix City, Alabama, and I'd go to my mom's grave site. And I know that spiritually my mom is not there, but it was just my place to go and kind of release that energy that I had so I can just speak with her. And every year I would take a book, and I would dedicate these books to her, and I would say, well, Mom, here's what I have. This is what I've done. I thank you, and I thank God. So when I got to the last book, I went back, and I did the same thing, and I was very emotional about it. And then once I got done, something inside of me just said, okay, son, I understand, or the universe just said, I understand. Now you can move on. And from there, I was able to see that whatever dreams I had, I can still have them. I just have to move on now, knowing that my mom is on my side in another way. And your listeners just need to understand that life is very short, and whatever dreams or goals you have to make sure that you start a journey today to trying to make sure that you can accomplish the things that you want to do in your lifetime.
I agree completely. Again, our guest today, Leroy Flemming, author of a series of books called Soul Splitting. Leroy, where can I find a copy of these books?
Yeah, if you want to, I actually have two of them, John. One of the website is called SoulSplitting.biz. That's SoulSplitting.biz. And my other one is TimeLightment.biz. That's TimeLightenment.biz.
And are these available on Amazon as well?
Yes, sir, they're available. If you go to the website, that'll take you straight to Amazon. If not, you can just go to Amazon.com and type up the title and the books will pull up.
Very nice. Leroy, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us today.
Man, I really appreciate you guys for having me, man. I just want to say to your listeners, always chase your dream because only you can make them.
I agree completely. Leroy, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, sir.
Again, Leroy Flemming, author of Time Lightenment, also the 5-book series Soul Splitting, both of those available at Amazon.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Water was the first word that Helen Keller learned in sign language from her teacher, Annie Sullivan.
Huh.
So the first word that she learned was water. That's a good word to learn. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The world population of chickens is about equal to the number of people.
Yeah.
If we weren't eating those buggers, they would take over this planet. I'm pretty sure of it.
They would.
So go have some chicken today. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Women are 37% more likely to go to a psychiatrist than men are. That's why men are crazy. We won't go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
And this is a fun fact. A monkey was once tried and convicted for smoking a cigarette in South Bend, Indiana.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like some monkey business going on
Convicted.
there.
I wonder, did he have to do jail time?
I have no
or what?
clue. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
About 70% of Americans who go to college do it just to make more money.
Yeah,
What are the other 30% going for? And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
It is against the law to catch a fish with your bare hands in the state of Kansas. There you go. And it's we just talked about it. It's against the law to shoot rabbits from a boat there. They apparently don't like fishermen there in the state of Kansas. That's a couple of fun facts for you on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that will help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. First of all, if you're not aware that you have clutter, this could be maybe part of the problem, but make an appointment with an eye doctor. However, the rest of us understand we have problems with clutter. We just don't know what to do about it. So if you're trying to come up with a way to get rid of all the clutter in your life, here are some tips. You ready for these?
Sure. I don't have much of a problem with clutter.
No, you get rid of stuff right away.
Throw stuff out.
I'm like halfway done eating my food, and she's throwing the stuff away from. I'm like, hey, can I finish that first? All right, here's the first thing. Make a date with your clutter. If you want to get rid of clutter, put it on the calendar, set a time, and devote yourself to, hey, you know what? I am going to clean the garage on Saturday from this time to this time. I'm getting it done. Next one, start small. Don't tackle the whole project all at once. A big room could be overwhelming. Start with something like a drawer in the kitchen. Just that one drawer. I'm going to clean out that drawer today, and I'm going to feel better about that, and then I'll tackle the garage. The next one on the list is organize your stuff. Divide the big projects of clearing clutter into smaller, more manageable clutter projects. Make to-do lists and check things off as you finish. Have a separate bag or box for borrowed items, things to sell for hurricane relief or whatever cause you want to give money to, gifts you're going to give to others, and then another one that's garbage, things you're just throwing away. And then the last thing on the list says transform your clutter into cash. Wouldn't it be great if you could unclutter your home and help somebody at the same time? There are places like American Red Cross that you could donate things to, donate money to, sell your items on eBay, sell your items on Craigslist, sell your items at a garage sale. There's a lot of ways to get rid of things. There's Facebook groups that have.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get rid of things, there's a ton of ways to do it. And if you want to feel really good about it, once you sell the items, give some of that money to a charity. There are a lot of charities out there that are looking for dough. And then if you're doing it that way, make sure you say, hey, I'm trying to raise as much as I can for this charity. So this is what I'm asking. You can make an offer, but I don't want to negotiate too much because I'm giving the money to charity. And people typically would feel better about that. So there you go. A couple of tips from Uncle John on how to clear the clutter in your life, like I have any room to talk about that.
I do that for you.
I have to move things around just so I can walk through my side of the garage. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
If you've always wanted to experience what the food on the Titanic tasted like, you are in luck. La Bagatelle in Scotland. They're in Edinburgh, Scotland. They're going to have a chance now to have the final first-class dinner aboard the doomed ocean liner. They hit an iceberg. Was last week, April 14th, 1912. So it would have been last Thursday, 1912. The luxurious last dinner on the Titanic, is going to be recreated using traditional ingredients and a little technology. Diners are going to be offered dishes ranging from asparagus salad with champagne, poached salmon with mozzarella sauce, and peaches in chartreuse jelly chocolate. None of that sounds good to me right now. Does any of that sound good to you?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to see what it looked like.
I like some of that stuff, but I like asparagus. I wouldn't go for the poached salmon. I don't know what mousseline sauce is, but I like peaches. I just don't know what chartreuse jelly chocolate is. I don't know. Anyway, if you want to try that, they're doing that in Scotland. Yeah. Maybe you fly there. Don't go on a boat. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Pearly King is a 7-year-old kid from Washington who decided to take his sister's car for a little drive because he ran out of Cheerios. Pearly woke up on a Saturday morning and find out that, hey, somebody ate all the Cheerios. So instead of waking up his parents, he thought, hey, I can do this. I'm 7.
Uh-oh.
With his dog Bear in the passenger seat, Pearly alternated between stretching his foot to hit the gas pedal to sitting up to be able to see over the wheel. Police caught up with him 3 miles from his home before he did any damage to himself or others. Young Pearly stepped out of the car with his hands up when the police stopped him. He got out with his hands.
Wow.
His parents punished him. General Mills, the maker of Cheerios, rewarded him with a year's supply of cereal and a new bike.
Wow.
This is a kid that wanted his Cheerios. I think it's cool. It's sad that he did this. He's 7, and I don't want to encourage other 7-year-olds to do this.
No, absolutely. That's a very bad idea.
But that's why they gave him a bike, because they said, next time you need to go somewhere,
get a bike.
Now you have a
Go on your bike.
Pearly. But Pearly King, 7-year-old in Washington, took his sister's car to the store to get
crazy.
some Cheerios. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know, it's been a while since I've been to the gym. What are you laughing about? Nothing. But Glamour magazine ran an article about the top 10 types of people who should be banned from the gym. You ready for this top 10 list? Number 1, treadmill cell phone gabbers. People that walk on the treadmill, yapping really loud on their cell phones. They're like, would you just stop?
Yeah, that drives me crazy.
Don't do that. I don't care what you're up to, and I don't want to hear your conversation. I'm trying to do my own thing. The shower nose blowers.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
The Walkman Mariah wannabes. If you're listening to a Walkman...
Don't sing.
Yeah, don't sing. Just listen.
And who listens to a Walkman? When was this article written?
I don't know. It's from Glamour magazine. Do they still do that magazine? Maybe it's just a reprint from the 80s. I have no clue. Weight room Romeos. You know the guys strutting around with their big sweaty muscles, hitting on the ladies. Hey, how you doing? What's up? Mirror mongers. People who go to the gym and they are over there lifting the weights, just staring at themselves.
Yeah.
And you walk in front of them like, hey, what are you doing? I'm staring at myself. Sorry. Didn't mean to come between you and you. Stair climb hoverers. These are people who are next up on whatever machine you happen to be using.
Oh, yeah.
And they stand there and stare at you until you're done. These, again, a list of 10 people, 10 types of people who should be banned from health clubs, according to Glamour magazine readers. Next were fountain spitters. Water fountains are for drinking, not for spitting.
That's gross too.
So if you're taking a drink and you're spitting it back in, don't do that. Do that somewhere else. That's just yuck. No. Bench press grunters and screamers. Oh, I've seen some of those where they're lifting weights.
Oh yeah.
If they do that, here's the way. If you want to get back at them, go over and pick up like a 5-pound weight and do what they're doing. It's a 5-pound weight.
If you have to make those noises, you may be lifting too much weight for yourself. You might not. Might want to back it down a bit.
I just strain myself pretending to lift weights. The last two, locker room exhibitionists, and it's usually more. I don't know. Maybe the ladies do it too. But when you go in, you take your shower, and then you just keep walking around naked in the locker room. Like, guys, cover up. Nobody came here to see you. All right. And then the last one are pre-aerobics chili eaters. Enough said on that. Those were, according to Glamour magazine, people who should be banned from the health club.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some positive news. And I think this is interesting news. And I don't know, maybe it's positive news. Maybe it's scary news. I don't know exactly what to say. But a new survey says that evangelical Christians are the least engaged with the current presidential election. And more so compared to any other religious group. They're just disconnected. They're like, I don't have anybody in this race that I'm interested in. So
right.
There was a survey from the Barna Group that says less than one third of registered voters are following the election, quote, very closely. Among the evangelicals, however, it's only 1 in 5. Meanwhile, according to Christian Headlines report, voters who associate with other faiths, so if you're a Christian evangelical but you've got friends that are Jewish or Islamic or Buddhist, they report higher levels of engagement in the current presidential election. It says 41% said they were following the news closely in that group. And again, it's only 1 out of 5 in the other group. So
I am following it closely because it directly affects me and my family. And everyone's family in this country, everyone should be following it. But I am not interested in any of them that are still running.
And here's the thing that for those of you who listen to this program often, if you ever wonder why we don't talk politics, is because I think that's our pledge to you. You're not listening to this program to get your political information. There's other stations that do that. Now, do we have a political interest? Do we have political point of view? I'm sure we do.
I do.
I know she does. I don't let her talk about it.
If you would
here.
like to know my point of view, you may call me, and I will
good.
be happy
We're good. We're
to
good.
fill you in.
If you're friends with her on Facebook, you know where she stands. Even the candidates that she would support would probably blush because of But anyway, again, the reason I wanted to share this is because I thought it was really interesting. I never in a million years would have guessed that there was a connection between your religious beliefs and the election. I didn't think that you'd see that, but there's a huge, and it's a big difference, 41% to 1 out of 5. So that's kind of crazy. Anyway, time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. If you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
All right, with our bonus break today, I want to make sure I give you some useful tips. And these are from a real police officer. These are tips on things to do when you get pulled over. Now, right now, I got to say, we are in a state that we've never been in this country. You know, there are more police shootings this year than we've ever had. It's double what it was last year. And last year wasn't good.
That's awful.
It's already double what they did last year. So that is crazy. Absolutely crazy. We are big fans of the police here. And the reason that we are is because we're obeying the laws. If I get pulled over for speeding, that's my fault, not their fault. Mm-hmm. And have I been pulled over for speeding? Yes.
Many, many, many times.
You know what? Hardly at all lately. When's the last time?
Only because you haven't gotten caught.
No, I've learned my lesson, Heidi. Uh-huh. I know when to slow down now. So. No, I tell you, I speed a lot less than I used to. What are you laughing about? Would you stop it? I speed a lot less now than I used to because I used to speed all the time. Now I just speed most of the time. Anyway, tips from a real police officer. If you want to have a good encounter on the side of the road, if you get pulled over, absolutely positively real tips. They say always stay in your car. Don't get out of the car. That makes them very, very nervous. And you're going to see them put their hand on their gun because they're wondering what the heck you're up to.
And rightfully so.
Next, pull over as soon as it is safe to pull over. Don't drive for another 7 miles. Pull over as soon as you possibly can, but make sure you do it where it's safe because the next one says the most important rule to follow is to pull over in a safe area. Don't pull, I saw a person pull over in the middle of the road. They pulled into the turning lane. I was like, what is that person doing?
Yeah.
And the officer walked up to their window and pointed, and they turned around the corner and parked. I was like, I've never seen that done before. They just pulled over into the turning lane and stopped and put their flashers on. I was like, that is not smart. That's not good. Pull over in a safe area. Next tip from a real police officer on things to do when pulled over. Keep your hands on the wheel, or at least in plain sight, as the trooper or officer approaches your vehicle. Keep your hands where they can see them. Again, it's going to greatly affect the way things go. And next, it's okay to complain. They understand this is probably not something that you had scheduled, but don't use profanity. In some states, they can literally give you a ticket or arrest you for disorderly conduct if you start, spouting off and being mean.
And rightfully so. There's no reason to treat them that way. They're doing
None
their
at all.
jobs.
I was watching a video that made me so mad. There was a person who was disobeying the laws and got pulled over, and then they were videotaping the police officer, and they were not complying with the officer at all. They said, "I need to get your license and registration." They kept saying, "I am not I'm an individual citizen of the world." You know, they kept going. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about?
Stupid. These morons.
I am not a resident of your state. I am an individual
I don't
citizen
remember
of
what
the
they
world.
were calling themselves. It was the most ridiculous thing I've
I
ever
watched
heard
this.
in
This
my
went
life.
on for like 8 minutes, and the officer was being as polite as he could be, asking them, "You need to roll the window down all the way." And finally, the officer had every reason in the world to do it, broke the window, cuffed them, and pulled them out. And then they're screaming, you know, "Assault, assault." I'm like, no, you are being a jerk. You know, and he...
I do not consent. I do not consent. They were screaming.
Yeah, I was like, what is... I don't care if you consent
I don't
at
care if
all.
you consent. You're breaking the law.
And when you're breaking the laws, he has a reason to pull you over. Just don't be a knucklehead, people. Come on. All right. So anyway, a little tip there. Again, that is from a real police officer. And this is something that I found from a friend of mine. But I can tell you, in my family, I have personally 1, 2, 3 brother-in-laws that are police officers. Mm-hmm. And I talk to them all the time. And here's the cool thing. They're people too, guys. You know, they are. So they're not just robots that go out and, you know, break up fights and stuff. They're people. And if you actually know a police officer, if you know somebody that's a police officer, you'll realize that they are wonderful people. And so many of them would do anything to help break up these fights and do the things that are happening.
Well, they put themselves in danger every single day.
More police officers killed this year alone, double what there was last year. And because when everybody else gets to run away from a problem, they have to run into it.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. And I saw a video yesterday I watched on YouTube where there was an officer that showed up at the scene. They called 911. He showed up, and there was a gang of people beating this police officer so severely that he finally got up and had to run away. And then they're flashing gang signs at the camera talking about how cool they are.
I hope the SWAT team came back.
They certainly should, because you can't, that is not society at all. Not society. You can't have that. That is ridiculous. So, again,
I can tell you who we can thank for all of that, but I don't think you want me to go there.
I think we kind of strolled way past everything we needed to. That's probably enough for a bonus break. I had so much stuff prepared to talk about, and I took literally one little paragraph and turned that into a long bonus break.
I think we're good.
Your bonus break brought to you by Knowles Systems. And, by the way, the content you just heard is from me. It's not from them. It's not from anybody else. So if you don't like what we just said, I understand that. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep listening. I hope you do, because what we said is called common sense. It really is. The police officers are trying to enforce the laws. They're trying to help society. So, but I know there's going to be somebody that's going to send me an email and say, you guys are terrible people because you like the cops. Whatever. That's fine. Again, Knowles Systems, if you've got funds earning less than 6%, you should check into a commercial mortgage bridge loan. They earn 6 to 8%. Could be just what you're looking for. All of the details can be found at commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.